What's up and welcome back to Kinda Funny Gamescast for Monday, January 20th, 2025. Of course, I'm your host, Tim Geddes. I'm joined today by Blessing Adeoye Jr.
Good day, Tim.
Good day to you as well. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good.
Yeah?
Had a good weekend. Played a lot of Magic.
I'm so happy for you.
It continues to take over my life.
That's good. That's good. So what'd you do this weekend? Like, what with Magic did you do?
Oh, I did quite a few things. The big thing I did was on Friday evening, went to my first pre-release Magic event, right?
Okay.
There's an upcoming set that they're releasing. I believe it is a remaster of Innistrad.
Like a reissue? Is it just like the same ones again, or is
It's
it
the
just
same
like
ones, but
new art or something? Like
I'm not sure. I don't know, but it has remastered on the box, and I know it is
wow,
sort of a reissue. So I imagine maybe they revamped the art or did stuff to it. And so it's a pre-release event where you go, you buy packs, and then you have 30 minutes to open the packs and then make a deck out of those packs. And then you face off against people in the store.
Awesome.
And then you could do 3 rounds, and for each round you win a pack.
Okay.
And so it was really fun. It was one of those ones where I was like, man, this is life. This is living right here.
This is living, baby.
This is living right here.
That's so cool, dude.
I think the thing that's working so well for Magic for me is that for some reason growing up, playing Yu-Gi-Oh cards never matched watching the Yu-Gi-Oh anime, and how could it?
How could it?
How could it? But Magic for some reason is giving me the feel. It's bringing me back. It's I'm thinking of strategies. I'm meeting up with people and I'm playing. There's different modes and shit. Man, let me tell you about Magic, guys.
I love
this
new
thing, man.
Real quick, how easy is it to make a deck from packs of cards? That sounds like a fair bit of a challenge. Just number wise.
Yeah, I think it depends on what style of Magic you're playing, because there's the big one right now is Commander. I think that's the more popular mode that people are playing, because it is more social. You can play with 4 different people, and it's a night. I was playing last night with a couple friends, and it's such a nice we had an hour and a half long game, which is probably the longest game of Magic I've ever played. But it was just us kicking it, going back and forth of oh, let's gang up on this person, and it's 100 cards, but you only have it's 100 cards. You have a Commander card, which is almost you're
Queen,
I guess. Yeah, there's in the Yu-Gi-Oh anime, there's
your ace.
There's a season that's you have a deck master type of thing, right? And then you can only have one of each card. So I think it's just a way more almost a casual. You can just load up that card with decks, right? You still want strategy, you still want all this shit. I do think that it does take quite a bit of playing and learning and understanding the base rule set, and then figuring out what type of playstyle works for you.
Have, yeah.
And then once you figure that out, you can make a deck.
Okay,
you can do it pretty quickly.
So the friends that you're playing with, are they your, I don't know the best way to say this, your normal friends that are now getting into it with you, or are these new friends that are Magic friends?
These are normal friends that had already been into Magic.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so it's the thing where I would have board game nights with my friends, like Meg, Cassie, Zachary, and we'd play casual board games. We'd play Exploding Kittens and stuff, but then every now and then they would break away and play some Magic, and I'd be all right, cool, yeah, let's play some Magic. I'll do my thing over here or whatever, and I'll see them. And I'm like, man, that seems fun. That seems like a good time.
I love it.
And then once I learned, I was like, cool, now I can play with them, and it's been such a fucking good time.
That's I'm so excited for you. That sounds like a blast.
It is.
Absolute blast.
It is. We'll get you on Final Fantasy.
I know that's going to be it. For sure. Playing it, it seems like a leap for me. But I also love playing the games with you guys.
That's the thing is, I think you could get there.
Yeah.
It's not that tough to learn. Me and Greg learned over the course of a stream.
Yeah.
And Greg knows how to play Magic.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Greg can sit down and play Magic. I think you could get there.
Okay. Well, we'll see. Exciting stuff. Those cards look fantastic. Wait, so last question I have about Magic before we move on to Nintendo. This reissue pack, or the new set coming out. Yeah. Are you at the point that you're excited for new sets? Or is there's just so many cards out there that to you, it's kind of doesn't matter.
Right now, I'm at the point where it doesn't matter, because every card is a new card.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
But the reissue, the only thing I was excited for was to go to this event and play with friends and play with new people. I have been hearing about the new upcoming set. Chat, you might have to correct me. I believe it's called Ether Drift, and it is an original Magic thing, and it involves race cars. And
I saw a card today that was the Akira slide.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it was probably part of this.
And
it
looks sick as shit.
And hearing about it, I'm like, that sounds really cool. And so that I'm excited for. And then the partnered, IP stuff. Oh, perfect. Yeah, Kevin has it pulled up. So this looks fucking cool to me.
Yeah.
I'm into this.
I like cars. I like racing.
And then I'm excited for like the Final Fantasy one. Apparently there's a SpongeBob one.
Is there really?
Yeah. And I'm gonna have to hop on that.
Of course you are.
Yeah.
Of course you are.
Yeah. There's a Spider-Man one too.
Spider-Man?
Spider-Man. Getting a set.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Oh my God. My
Water's
poor
warm,
wallet.
Tim.
My poor wallet, everybody. Everyone, this is Kind of Funny Gamescast. Each and every weekday, we get together to talk about the latest in video games, whether it's previews, reviews, or rampant speculation. You can get all of it right here on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames as a video. You can also watch live on Twitch. You can also just wait and get it as a podcast on podcast services around the globe. If you want to get the Kind of Funny membership, that'd be super freaking cool of you. You get the shows ad-free. You can watch live as we record them, and you get a daily exclusive Gregway. Today's Gregway is actually Andy talking about the Nuzlocke Season 2, I guess you want to call it, the second run for Nick's first time playing Pokemon, but now first time playing Generation 2, which I am incredibly excited about because he ain't ready, bless. He doesn't know that he's about to play the best Pokemon game.
I'm very excited for him.
Yeah.
I've not checked up on, like, did Nick fall in love with Pokemon?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
Which is so special.
Then that's very exciting.
Yes. Yeah. He is.
Do you know, Tim, something that will, I think, upset you? Of course, I played Pokemon Gold and Silver.
Of course.
Never played Heart Gold and Soul Silver.
I mean, that doesn't upset me. I am so jealous of you.
Yeah.
Because that means at one point you get to play it for the first time.
I want to. I do you think they'll ever, I guess it wouldn't make sense for them to port it?
That's the biggest problem, is it being a DS game. Allegedly, there are ways around it. You know, pretty easy, pretty simple, pretty smart use of the Steam Deck screen where it puts both screens on one screen and one of them's really tiny. It doesn't matter as much, but it looks really freaking good. Okay. Allegedly.
Okay.
But officially, yeah, it's I don't know. Unless Switch 2 adds DS to the NSO, which maybe that's one of your predictions.
One of my predictions.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, have you seen all these the rumors this weekend?
No.
So, real quick, before we get into the actual blessing predictions of the Nintendo Switch 2, months ago, a patent leaked from Nintendo, as they often do, right?
Yeah.
That looked like a kind of weird, almost oval-shaped screen situation, and it was really kind of hard to like realize what it might be. People were thinking like, oh, it might be this, might be that. People have, now that the Switch 2 has been officially shown, the USB-C port at the top.
I have seen
people
this.
are like, wait a minute. What if it's a second screen attachment? And then what? I think that's going
what's
too far.
What's so funny is that I saw that and I purely thought it was like a fan made thing. I didn't know this came from speculation, but also would be kind of neat.
Would be kind of neat. I don't think that's going to happen. I also don't think it needs to, because yeah, Kev, if you bring that up again, you can just adjust the screen size too, so you can make that thing even smaller if you want and fill the big one.
Yeah.
You could have buttons so that it switches what the screens are, so it is just the main screen until you need the other one. A lot of options. Okay?
But we'll get into my predictions.
Yeah.
Or your predictions. Who knows?
Who knows, everybody? But that's what we're doing today. Actually, before we get into that, I do want to let you know, I want to be very thankful to our Patreon producers on this beautiful Monday, Delaney Twining and Carl Jacobs. Today, we are brought to you by Shady Rays and Rocket Money, but I'll tell you all about that later. Sorry, last bits of housekeeping, very important stuff. After this, we're doing an incredibly special stream. The boys are going to get in a Waymo and just see how far they can go.
Is this is one of those ones where, as we were talking about it during the meeting, I was like, is this legal? Like, are we allowed to do this? Can we do this? Like, is this going to get them in trouble?
I don't know.
Is Big Waymo going to be like, oh, we can't let them record?
Andy, Mike, and Nick are going to get in a Waymo and just see what the limits are.
What's the worst thing that could happen?
The worst thing that could happen? I mean, I don't know. I don't think that like there's anything too bad. It's not like they're going to do anything like explicit in this car.
I mean, of course. I mean,
you know what I mean?
Of course.
This isn't Nick, Andy, and Mike shoot a porno.
Sure, but it's like, I don't know. I just think about Harold and Kumar, right? And it's like, how far can they go to where it's a problem now? Like,
okay, I get it.
Like,
they
go far enough, and then the Waymo's like, oh, can't go further, and they're just out in the middle of nowhere.
Well, that's the thing, is I don't think that. I mean, you need to put a destination in, so it's not like they're going to get lost. They might get stranded somewhere and not be able to get back.
And that's my fear, is like, where can they get? What if they get stranded somewhere?
I mean, here's the thing. I don't have my car today.
The Waymo loses signal. Their phones lose signal.
I imagine they take an Uber back, right?
No, that's true. That's true.
But they don't have signal.
Find out, everybody, after this. They're going live. What's going to happen? Who the fuck knows? Is the stream going to crash? Probably, but it's going to be a good time. We have Kev. We have our best minds at home running the control to help as much as he possibly can from the studio. So we'll see how that goes. But enough about all that. Let's get into the topic of the show. A couple weeks ago, Roger came up with a new predictions format that we all had a lot of fun with. Going month by month of the year 2025, making video game predictions. We call him Rodstradamus. He did an awesome job coming up with stuff.
He did.
Now that Nintendo has finally officially announced the Nintendo Switch 2, you and I, we're like, okay, any opportunity we get to speculate about Nintendo, we're going to do it. Oh, yeah. So we're going to do a two-parter episode of Nintendo Switch predictions. Today, we're going to run through Blessing Adeoye Jr.'s 12 predictions for 2025 for the Nintendo Switch 2. Month by month. Are you doing January?
I'm going 12-month predictions all the way through 2026.
I love this. So we're going all the way. It's going to be a great time. And then tomorrow, we're going to switch roles. And I will be giving my predictions for things that are going to happen. Do you have anything you want to preface this with in terms of, are these predictions that you truly believe are going to happen? Are these what you want to happen? Is it somewhere in the middle?
So this is the one that I thought about a lot, because I think me and you have talked about, like, you know, oh man, if I had a hosted Nintendo Direct and like plan out Nintendo's year, what would it look like? But for me, I went the direction of predictions, things that I think either will happen, could happen, or there's a conversation to be had about like whether or not, like, or like how these things could have happened.
Okay.
And so I'm going more speculation route as opposed to like my World of Dreams route.
Good. I like that. And the way I'm going to try to play this is I already have most of mine completed. I have some homework to do later. I'm not going to bring them up though today. Okay. I want to save mine for tomorrow. If you have things that are like exactly what I have, I might talk about it. Then I'll change them for tomorrow because I want to make new content here. But I'm going to try to just enhance your ideas here, and we'll save mine for tomorrow.
Okay. So with doing these Nintendo Switch 2 predictions, I'm going month by month. Which does mean, in my opinion, I gotta pick a month for launch.
Okay.
I'm going June, right? I'm thinking.
Wait. So you're doing predictions from June to June?
Yes. Yes.
You crazy person.
June to May.
So wait, you're not going to predict the next couple months?
Oh, is that how you're doing it?
That's what I was thinking.
Nah, fuck that. No, I'm starting at launch and then I'm going from there.
Shit.
I'm doing June to June. Yeah.
Okay, because I think there's a lot of things to predict the next couple months as well.
Well, here's the thing, because I imagine that we're gonna do like the Nintendo Direct predictions.
Yeah.
And so like I figure I'll save those for that. Shit.
So the first year of the Switch.
I'm going the first year of the Switch too.
All right.
So launch in June, with also like the loose understanding that I think it also could be July, but I'm thinking June or July for this thing for sure.
Okay.
With the assumption of June, the Switch 2 releases. It releases for $350.
Man.
Its launch games will be Metroid Prime 4. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond will be a cross-gen launch, so it comes out for Switch 1 and Switch 2. It'll be $70, and it'll be heavily marketed with the mouse functionality for the Switch 2, even though most people won't use it. All right, they're going to show it in the trailers. Oh, look, you can do like, not mouse and keyboard, because it's not technically mouse and keyboard, right? But mouse and controller, they're going to try and get that off, show off that functionality. And Metroid Prime 4 will be one of the main games they use to try and market that. And it'll be the second highest Metacritic game of the year.
Oh, yeah. That part excites me very, very much. Yeah. I mean, I do think that the game journalists of the world are yearning for a Metroid Prime, right? And I feel like if it succeeds at what it needs to, I do think, of course, it'll be highly rated. And it is that type of game that could break the 90-plus Metacritic kind of conversation. You talking about the mouse support for Metroid Prime 4. I'm convinced that there will be some level of mouse support. And for people that don't know what we're talking about, there's been a lot of rumors, and then the Nintendo Switch 2 kind of reveal itself. Soft confirmed that the Joy-Cons are going to be able to, at the very least, slide across the table. And they did it in a way that looked very mousy.
Yeah.
And it's like,
it looked like they're teasing a function.
Yeah.
And I could see it. Like, even yesterday, I was holding a Joy-Con, as we do. And I was doing the thing where I started sliding a Joy-Con across the table just to see. And it does feel kind of nice, right? The way that the back bumper buttons feel, like you can have like kind of a mouse clicky thing there.
Yeah.
Like it felt right.
My biggest concern with it is mice are something that have been so mouses. Is it mice? Is the plural of that type of mouse mice, or is it mouses?
I would say mice. Yeah,
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think so too. But mice have gotten so ergonomic and advanced over the years. Like that is something that I feel potentially more than any product in the world besides a keyboard, like the research and development into the ergonomics of it itself. I think they might be the number 1 and 2 products, right? So mice feel good.
Yeah.
I know when I'm playing with a mouse that doesn't feel good, and I can't imagine a Joy-Con feeling good.
Yes, and I agree with you, which is why I think most people, this is going to be one of those functions where it's kind of like the PS4 like touchpad, or like things where it is, all right, y'all try to push this, but it's not sticking with the people. I think the mouse functionality, I could see this being something that Nintendo's like, no, we believe in this. Like, it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be unique. It's gonna be purely Nintendo. And people try it out and they're like, oh, because like, when was the last time Nintendo really cared about like ergonomics, right? Like the Switch feels good to hold, but like you hold the Joy-Con sideways and that shit feels like trash. But that's one of the main things of the Switch.
Good point.
Right? That's one of the things that's one of the main things they really push. And so like I think it's the fact that they can do it, and there's creativity that they probably think they can have around a mouse function, and also like problems they think they can fix, right? Like first person shooters don't feel the best on the Switch. I could see them being like, but if you can make like a mouse, like maybe you could have that level of intricacy in your movement and make that feel a bit better.
So your prediction of the mouse support in Metroid Prime 4, I feel like you're onto it, because I think that when you look at Metroid Prime and its history, when they put out the definitive edition, wait, what was it called? It was just Trilogy, Metroid Prime Trilogy on the Wii. They added the Wiimote functionality, and that was actually great for Metroid Prime. Metroid Prime it's not a twitchy first-person shooter. It is a lot more about exploring and looking around. It's a little slower paced, even in the kind of camera motion, right? But having the motion controls, I'd say, added to that game. So having a secondary type of control for it makes sense. I also think that, I am a huge supporter of the left-hand analog stick, right-hand mouse type of aiming. So if this picks up, I'm happy.
And that's the thing. Like, I think sickos like Tim Geddes might end up fucking with it.
And we might be the majority at the end of the day. You know what I mean? This might be the turning point. This might be how it all changes for everybody.
Yeah.
But I don't know. But I think that this makes a lot of sense. I think that Metroid Prime 4 is is it a lock to be a launch title? No. But like, I think it's likely.
This goes back to what we were talking about during the Switch 2 reveal trailer, where we were trying to figure out how to place Metroid Prime 4. And I think you were the one that was like, or maybe it was either you or Andy that was like, oh man, people are gonna buy the Switch 2 at launch anyway. Like no matter what that was you, yeah. People are gonna buy it anyway, no matter what the launch title is. And I think that's smart, right? Like if you are giving that first initial wave of people that are buying a Switch 2, Metroid Prime 4, like it's gonna do numbers, and you don't really have to think about it being the Switch like seller
killer app.
Because guess what? Next month, and I'm getting ahead of myself here, but next month you're gonna get Mario Kart 9.
Yeah,
like Mario Kart 9 will be that.
I love it.
Driver.
I love that I am like poisoning the well, and I'm making people start to think correctly about this.
It makes so much sense too, because one of the reasons why I also put Metroid Prime 4 as a launch title is because it is a campaign game. Yeah. It is a like start to finish, like you are getting one. I think this is going to be a banger on Metacritic, so having one of those at launch is going to be huge. You can market a major feature of the Switch if it ends up being right with the mouse thing, and then it is a game that is an adventure. It's a game that is giving you a story, an experience that like is going to be memorable, that you can evangelize to your friends and go, oh, I played Metroid Prime, and you guys got to check this out. Like it is a game that is a must play this year.
So I love this. And I think that for everything you just said, totally agree. Prime 4, I think, is a great launch title for the Switch 2. It also is a little more, quote unquote, grown up, which I think the Switch 2 has that kind of a generation of kids that grew up with Switch 1 that are now a little bit older. Of course, there's all of us old people too. But another important thing is them putting out a game that is niche compared to some of the bigger Nintendo franchises as a launch title. I understand maybe not the best move in terms of maximizing, but if they're going to sell it anyway, what does that even matter?
Yeah.
The attach rate, I think, would be even higher for a high-rated game like this, that even if they didn't play the previous games, you've heard of Metroid Prime, you know how good it is and how well received the previous games were. But on top of that, it's not like the game's not going to sell very well. I think there's no chance the Metroid Prime 4 isn't the best-selling Metroid Prime. I think by a wide margin, it'll end up that way. And looking back to the last time that Nintendo had a console launch with the Switch 1, launching with Breath of the Wild, and that was a cross-gen title. Looking at the numbers now, I don't even have the updated ones. These are from December 31st, 2022, so a little outdated, but my point stands. Nintendo Switch, 29 million units sold of Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
1.7 million units sold on the Wii U.
Oh, Breath of the Wild. I forgot.
Yeah.
Even as you mentioned, I forgot it came out on the Wii U.
It came out on the Wii U, and it only sold 1.7 million units, which for the Wii U, pretty good seller, because the Wii U only sold 13 right? Yeah. So that's still a pretty good percentage. But my point is, it was a Switch game, and it happened to be on the Wii U. That it didn't make a dent at all. Metroid Prime 4, I think, is going to sell very well on the Switch.
Yes.
1, and so you have those numbers together, and I think you're going to get all the excited people that have the Switch 2 that are buying it, but then you also have all the people that just have the Switch 1 that aren't planning to upgrade that are still going to buy it, and I think the sales will be similar to the previous Metroid games on the Switch. And at the end of the day, to Nintendo, it doesn't matter, and to any of us, it doesn't matter. If Metroid Prime sales, 4 sales combined between the two are great, everybody wins.
Yep. And then, like, for me, it is building up toward Mario Kart, which we'll get to in a second. But I think even with Metroid Prime 4 as a launch title, my prediction, that doesn't mean it's the only launch title either, right? Because as I go through my list, I think you're also going to get Mario plus Rabbids Collection. They're going to bundle up the first 2 games, put it out, and that comes from the Ubisoft rumors that we've seen of, like, Ubisoft apparently has a lot of games that are going to come to Switch 2, including a Mario Rabbids Collection.
My thing with that, and maybe you'll get into some other predictions later, the fact that we don't know how Switch games are going to be handled in terms of, like, up-res or remastered or whatever that looks like, either in hardware-based or some type of patching or something like that, I don't know that we're going to be getting collections of games that are playable on the Switch already. You get what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying. And, like, again, that's like a wait and see for me of how are they going to do it. But I do see it as if you can bundle it up and also enhance it a little bit, right? Like maybe tease that it looks slightly better or it's in 4K now. I could see them doing that. I could see it not being a automatic. In fact, I don't really expect an automatic 4K jump for these games. So I think for a select amount of games, they might make that happen.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't know about launch. That's my one thing for that.
The one reason I place it at launch is to have a Mario there. Like, I think if like I know Mario Kart 9, right, it could be month 2 in my perceived scenario, but I think having a Mario thing there at launch and like something that's as easy of a win of having like a Mario plus Rabbids game at launch works and like would be the reason you would have it there.
Yeah. We got a couple super chats I want to get to here. Dante the Clerk says, if the theory is true for mouse support, what game do you think will be ported at launch from third party to show off this feature?
Third party?
Because it does open the door for first-person shooters to be played a bit more.
Yeah. My mind immediately goes to Doom the Dark Ages.
Okay.
But I also see that as one that gets ported down the road, right?
Me too.
Nintendo, especially with like the Switch and a bit of the disparity between, I still imagine Switch 2 might have between that and like current gen consoles, right? Like I could see it being a thing of, all right, Doom the Dark Ages comes out, let's say this summer on Xbox, and I forget, I think it's coming to PlayStation 2, maybe later on PlayStation.
No, it's the same time.
Oh, it's the same time?
Yeah.
So it comes out on Xbox and PlayStation, and then like fall, winter, maybe early next year for Switch 2. Like I think that's kind of the cadence we're talking about, at least at first.
Civ 7.
Ooh.
I think that's a big one. My thing is, I don't know if it's, because Civ 7's February, right? For some reason, that makes me think that it won't be launched. It is going to be a little bit later, which I know sounds backwards, but like, I just don't know if they're working on it already or not, or like how deep into development they would be. But I think that'd be a great shout for the mouse support as well. Tundra Boy says, if Prime 4 is just more Prime, will that be enough? I think the answer is yes and no, because I feel like it's the type of thing where we are, from what we saw of Prime 4, it is just more Prime. I think that just more Prime, if it's great Prime, it's going to be the majority of people's first Metroid Prime, and they're going to be that Metroid Prime stands up today. You played it. This is, I think, one of the rare examples that we can actually give of you played a game from 20 years ago for the first time and
fell in love with it. Like probably one of my favorite, like I'll say it's in my top 20, top 30 games ever made, right? Like one that blew me away. And I think, yeah, if you're able to bring back peak Metroid Prime, I think that will be enough. I think on the critical side, right? Like on the critical side, I think it'll do well. On the commercial side, like it's no matter what, it's Metroid, which I think maybe does box it in a little bit. But if you surround Metroid with other things that are gonna uplift the whole library, then guess what? Like it is almost like you are. I'm trying to think of this as almost like a 4-course meal of like, all right, you know you're gonna get Mario, you know you're gonna get XYZ, you know, but like Metroid is kind of like that, like fancy like escargot. You know what I mean? It's like the thing that like this is like the garnish. It's like the thing that uplifts the whole meal and turns into a fancy meal as opposed to like, you know, a beefy like, oh man, I love everything I'm eating here. Metroid Prime 4 like adds a little pizzazz to it.
I'm with you. I think the biggest misstep so far is having 4 in the title. I feel like they should have just went with a different route, but
I agree with
that.
We'll
see how that all goes. Let's keep going.
So I have a few more things for month 1.
Okay.
So like I mentioned, you're going to launch with Metroid Prime 4. You're going to launch with
June.
This is June. Launch with Metroid Prime 4, Mario plus Rabbids Collection. You're also going to launch with a generic Joy-Con based party game that all of us are going to look at and go, oh, why is this not WarioWare? You're going to have one of them ones. It's going to be another 1-2 switch kind of thing. They're going to try and push like the party, like multiplayer functionality of it. You're also going to have something extremely kiddie. And I'm not talking about something that fits in the category of like a Yoshi or a Kirby, but it's not going to be a Yoshi or Kirby.
Okay.
It's going to be new IP, and it's going to be one of those ones that will be forgotten to time.
Okay.
But like something for the kids, you know, because you have Metroid Prime 4 there, right? So you need something to kind of balance that on the kiddie side. And then you'll get maybe a couple of third-party things, including Assassin's Creed Mirage for some reason.
For some reason.
Yeah.
Oh, that's going to happen.
And maybe even Split Fiction. I could see there being there in the first month.
Okay.
So that is June.
Love that.
We then move on to July. The only thing I have written here for July is Mario Kart 9. All right. It features 24 racers, as we've seen, right? We counted the starting spaces in the trailer, but even when you go back and look at that trailer and you count the racers in the trailer, like the actual characters, it does net out to 24. And so we are talking about 24 racers in a race. One of the twists is I think players can collect wonder boxes to alter the tracks. I floated the idea of Mario Kart Wonder in my brain, but I'm not gonna double down on it. I think it'll just be called Mario Kart 9.
I can't wait for you to hear my Mario Kart pitch tomorrow.
Oh, I cannot wait to hear it then. This Donkey Kong design that we've seen in the trailer is gonna be how he looks in the next major Mario game. We'll get to that later. This game is gonna have a Forza Horizon style open world that you can explore and begin races in. It'll be the Mario Odyssey of Mario Karts.
Oh, baby.
Yeah.
Full body chills right there. Let's go.
And that's my Mario Kart 9 prediction.
I love that. A month later. That's something that I feel good about. Not the most, I wouldn't bet a house on it, you know, but I do think Mario Kart being the second month, not launch month, is the most likely outcome at this point.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Switch itself is going to be a pop, especially like with whatever else you launch it with, right? If it is a Metroid Prime, that is a pop. You get a gigantic pop the next month with a Mario Kart 9, especially if it does have like expansive, like a campaign or open zone to explore. And again, the more I watch that trailer for the Switch reveal, the more it seems like there's something there as far as exploring, or maybe the tracks changing like from lap to lap. I went and I watched like speculation videos as you do, and like a lot of people were pointing out things as far as like, oh, it looks like, you know, there are other roads here that maybe could be driven on. They're outside the track, like very exciting things happening there. And so that's my prediction for July in Mario Kart 9. That brings us to month 3, August. You get a 2D Yoshi or Kirby, one of the two, not both. You get Elden Ring for the Switch 2, not Nightrein.
So you don't think Elden Ring's a launch game?
No. I think it comes later.
Okay.
And then there's this thing that I'm going to call the indie reclamation. All right. Tim, you talked about it during the Switch reveal, Switch 2 reveal, as far as how the indie space has evolved since the launch of the Switch. Where at first, Switch was the spot for indies. And then over time, it seems like with the Steam Deck, with just time passing even, right? Like, I play a lot of indie games on the Switch, but the Switch isn't necessarily the first stop I'm always making for the indie games anymore. I think Switch 2 launch is going to bring that back.
Ooh.
I think the first couple years of the Switch 2 launch, is going to be what I'm going to call the indie reclamation, where the big indie games are going to come to the Switch, starting with Deltarune chapters 3 and 4.
Oh shit, okay.
I think in August you get Deltarune chapters 3 and 4, and it comes to Switch 2. So that's August for me.
I love it. Okay.
Yeah.
Cooking.
We then get into September, month 4. We get a Zelda collection. Twilight Princess and Wind Waker.
Collection.
Okay. We're going to get
that.
Skyrim on the Switch 2, and they're going to try and make a big deal out of it. It's going to have mouse functionality. That's going to be one of the things they market with it. It's going to get mouse functionality.
That's really funny.
And the game is going to look better than it did on the Switch 1.
Yeah, I would hope.
And then continuing with the indie reclamation, Hollow Knight Silksong out in September.
Okay.
That's September.
That feels good.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I buy it. You see that Team Cherry was saying this game's real. It's not dead. It is coming out.
I did see that. And I believe them. The thing that did shock me a little bit is I was reading a news story about it, and the news story talked about how before that game was supposed to come out in like the first half of 2023. And I started doing that math, and I was like, yo, that is crazy that it got delayed that much, which means that they want to expand it out into like a bigger thing, right? Like, let's take this from DLC size to maybe full game size.
Yep.
And so like fingers crossed we could get it this year, but that then makes me wonder like how big they're trying to make this thing. Right? Is this going to end up being a 2026 thing? But we're going to get that game for sure. How do you feel about Zelda Collection?
I mean, we're going to get those games for sure. And I've been saying that about the Switch 1, and I've been wrong. However, I do think that when this comes out, I do think it's a cross-gen game. Like, I think they're also putting it out on the Switch. We get a Zelda every year. And I think that Nintendo wants that and is going to continue that. And it works for them. The games sell very well, and they're continuing to. And they're well received critically. So it's not like a Pokemon situation where there's almost a fan revolt of like, slow the fuck down. People are like, give me more Zelda. Give me the old ones. Give me the new ones. Give me the spin-offs. They want more Zelda. And as long as that's true, I think that their goal internally is going to be a new Zelda every year. I think that this year is, last year we had Echoes of Wisdom. Yep. This year, I think the answer will just be the Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. So yeah, I think you're on the money there.
Yeah.
But then I think next year is Ocarina of Time remake, baby.
Exactly. And we'll get to that / not get to that because I do think that will be like later half of next year. But I think the big reason why you don't even want to do like a newish Zelda, whether it be an Echoes of Wisdom or like a Breath of the Wild or like a new thing, is the fact that this year is going to be the 3D Mario year. Yep. Which gets me into month 5, right? October.
Like, can you imagine putting out a brand new Zelda and a brand new Mario in the same year?
Who would do such a thing?
We lived through a time, bless.
Like, especially revolutionary ones. You know what I mean? Month 5, you're getting your 3D Mario. This is October in my timeline. It is more of a linear platformer like Galaxy or Astrobot, not open like Odyssey. Donkey Kong.
Sorry. Say it again.
So I view it as more of a linear platformer, like
for Mario,
for 3D Mario,
3D Mario,
the new one. Yeah. So when I say linear,
more Galaxy style,
Galaxy or Astrobot, right? Like not.
So like 3D World then.
3D World, but I guess more like because 3D World I view as like it's kind of like top down ish, like in a sense. It'll be behind the back, right? Galaxy would be like the like the analog I'll give. Something along those lines.
Right.
It won't be like you're exploring open zones like Odyssey or Mario 64 is what I'm getting at. Donkey Kong will make an appearance, but he won't be a main playable character. He'll just be a recurring side character. It'll be $70. And it will.
So wait, don't you just assume all games are 70?
Yes. Okay. Nintendo games.
Great. Yeah.
Cool. It will have a gimmick. I have no prediction on what it is, but when we see it in the trailer, we'll all go, huh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't wait for you to hear my thoughts on Mario 3D tomorrow's episode.
I can't wait. How do you feel about it not being an Odyssey type game?
I think you're crazy.
I hope I'm crazy.
Yeah. I mean, there's I just feel like, all right, let's talk this through. The last major Mario game we got was Odyssey, right?
Yep.
Before that, it was 3D World. Before that, it was the Galaxy games. And I feel like 3D World and 3D Land very much feel like a third branch of these type of games.
Yeah.
And I think that they are a little, I mean, they're definitely not seen the same, even though I adore those games. But there was a little thing called Bowser's Fury that happened that I think was them trying to meld the gameplay, like the more linear obstacle course based gameplay of the 3D World games, and even to an extent Galaxy, with something that's more open. And it goes one of two ways. They either are like, hey, this is just a test that this is as far as we could take it, so we're not going to go that direction, which I think is more in line with what you're saying. I think there's nobody that played Bowser's Fury that's like, oh, this isn't the future.
Oh yeah.
So
I love that. Yeah.
I think that it's going to be open.
I hope so. I think we're gonna get that game, right? The Bowser's Fury style, like, hey, this is the prototype for what, like, a bigger version of this, because I desperately want that game, and I do think you're right as far as the testing. I just don't know about now. Like, I think maybe that could be a few years into the Switch 2, like maybe later in the Switch 2 life cycle. And like, honestly, I'm going off of nothing. Like, this is very much just vibes based. I think part of the vibes is like, I am looking at Mario Kart 9 as being the open Mario exploration game.
I think timing just added up, just like it did last time for Zelda and Mario to have these big moments, for Mario and Mario Kart to have them at the same time. I think there's no way, in my opinion, that the next big Mario 3D game isn't the biggest Mario 3D game.
I hope so, man.
I think that it is. I think they know, and it's going to be hard to outclass Odyssey, but I think they're going to pull it off.
Really hope so. What about Donkey Kong as a non-playable character? This is a recurring side character.
Yeah, so I mean, I've been saying since day one that I truly think that the Mario, the Mushroom Kingdom and the Donkey Kong worlds are going to kind of meld in the next 3D Mario game. And I stand by it. You saying not a playable character, that's interesting, and it goes directly against my prediction. But I have more details that I'll get into.
I'm excited for that
tomorrow.
Then.
Yeah,
because like the reason why I say not playable is just me going back and like looking at the rumors. I remember there was one rumor about, I think it was the Mario Odyssey team making a 2D Donkey Kong. Oh, was it? The 2D?
Rumors were a 2D Donkey Kong game, which gotcha. I would love.
Well, I think there was a different rumor, maybe it was a different studio that was working on a 3D like Donkey Kong game, but it got shut down, or like it got internally canceled, right? It didn't progress that far. So that just made me wonder, like, are we actually going to get that? Like, are we actually going to get a 3D platformer where you're playing as Donkey Kong ever again? I just can't let myself dream, Tim. I can't. I really can't.
Exciting times.
But that is my 3D Mario prediction, but I have more predictions for October. Because in October,
this is month 6 for you, right?
This is month 5.
5, okay.
This is a continuation of the indie reclamation.
Ooh.
Hades 2. It's out. 1.0. And it's coming to Switch 2 at launch. And then also Doom the Dark Ages.
Yeah, no question about that. I think, yeah, Hades 2 will be on Switch 2 at launch. Doom the Dark Ages, a little more questions about.
Fair enough. And then we move on to month 6, halfway through the year. This is November. We finally get Pokemon ZA, aka Pokemon ZA. It is a November title. Along with that, we get Ring Fit Adventure 2.
Okay.
That is also a November title.
That's a good pull.
Box that in like the Black Friday stuff, right? Like,
yeah. You
can buy that for mom, buy that for dad.
Something tells me year 1's early for that, but it's a good pull.
It's one of the more successful titles on the Switch 2
that people would forget about and not ever give credit. So yeah,
like super successful. And I think for Nintendo, I think you see that success and go, okay, we got to capitalize on this. We got to jump on that. And I think it's been quite a few years. And I think even in the early years of the Switch 2, that's something that I think that gives Switch 2 a different kind of value, right? Like that health, like workout style of thing. It gives people another reason to want to buy it. And so I think it is like kind of an additive thing that could be beneficial to have in year 1. Along with that, Switch Online, I've not talked about that yet because they've done nothing to it until now.
Oh.
In November, in month 6, Switch Online increases the price of the expansion pack from $50 to $70. And this is going to be my most ballsy prediction. It also introduces a Game Pass style subscription service that lets you play a selection of Switch 1 first-party games.
Holy shit, you're insane.
I know.
You're insane. A player's choice.
It's you're going to get to play a selection of Switch 1 games, but we're going to look at that selection and be like, "Oh, damn. It's kind of whack." We're going to be like, "This ain't the selection I want." Like, where are the bangers? Where are the better ones? You're going to get a bunch of them. You're going to get the Toad puzzle game. You're going to get Mario Kart 8 Deluxe maybe in there. But you are going to be missing some of the bigger ones that you would want on there.
I don't see it. Nintendo just makes too much money from these games. They still sell well. They'd want the subscriptions, but I think they have other ways to get the subscriptions.
Fair enough.
They still have old systems. They still have the DS. They still have. We're going to see GameCube before we see Switch.
Yeah, but how can we get them prices up? How can we bump up that price? You think people are gonna pay $70 for a DS?
Yeah, I do.
You think so?
Yeah. When you're also getting all the other stuff, yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I do have more for November. Sonic Racing Cross Worlds comes out. It launches on Switch too.
Yep. I'll buy that too.
And then the indie reclamation continues with The Haunted Chocolatier, which I believe is the game coming from the Stardew Valley devs. It's like their new kind of management thing.
Cool.
Where I think you're running like a chocolate shop, like a haunted chocolate shop. So
really Willy Wonka, I guess.
Willy Wonka, yeah.
Okay.
So that's month 6.
6 months, the first 6 months of the Switch 2, starting in June. I think I might have a different strategy for my 12 months.
I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, because I think I want to start in February. I think I want to start now because I got some things to say.
So yeah, so you think things are going to happen between now?
Well, I know some things are going to happen. I mean, like we know Pokemon Presents is next month, so like we're going to get some Zelda. There's, whatever. But anyways, we're going to take a quick break. Here's a word from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by Shady Rays. Get ready for the season ahead with quality shades built to last. Our friends over at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. They have hundreds of options to choose from, so you're bound to find the perfect pair to match your style. Plus, if your shades ever go missing or take an unexpected hit, don't sweat it. They have the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair is backed by lost or broken replacements. If you don't love your shades, exchange them for a new pair or return worry-free within 30 days. Y'all know I've been outside a lot in the sun playing Pokemon Go, and it's such a great experience wearing my Shady Rays when I'm out and about looking dope. Exclusively for you, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal. Head to shadyrays.com and use code FUNNY for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. That's shadyrays.com. Use the code FUNNY. This episode is brought to you by Rocket Money. You sign up for something, forget about it after the trial period ends, then you're charged month after month after month. The subscriptions are there, but you're not using them. In fact, 85% of people have at least one paid subscription going unused each month. Thanks to Rocket Money, you can see all your subscriptions in one place and cancel the ones that you're not using anymore and save more money. Rocket Money has helped multiple members of Kind of Funny learn that they are still paying for things they totally didn't even realize. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions. It monitors your spending and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and match your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/kindoffunny today. That's rocketmoney.com/kindoffunny. rocketmoney.com/kindoffunny. And we're back. Want to get to your 7th month?
Month 7, December. And honestly, I'm not going to lie. This is where things start to get boring. All right. We know Nintendo. Nintendo, obviously, they come with the bangers when it matters. But a lot of the time, they're just chilling, right? Like, what do you think about the Nintendo slate of games? Like, you think about month to month, like, how often are you getting those bangers? Maybe like 4 months out of the year, you get something that's like fucking like, oh shit, here we fucking go. But then like the rest of the months, yeah, you're getting a remaster, you're getting a small thing, you're getting nothing. Like I try to keep this as realistic as possible. So we get to December, and guess what? You're getting nothing. Maybe some
You're getting
nothing December. Maybe some third-party titles. I don't know the last time. Maybe you know, Tim. Like, how often does Nintendo ever release anything first party in December? I feel like maybe that jump rope game.
Well, no, I mean Smash Brothers.
Oh, you're right.
So every once in a while there
December.
is something, or even like late November, I want to say. They'll come out with stuff, but yeah, I don't think it's ever by choice. I think those are the games that were supposed to come out earlier but then kind of like make it through. But Smash Brothers at least twice has come out in December, both Melee and
you're right,
Ultimate.
Yeah. Huh. Well, this December,
Xenoblade 2 is December
1st.
Yeah.
So yeah, December you get nothing. Maybe some third party titles. Maybe that's when you get Assassin's Creed Shadows. Maybe that's when you get like The Division.
Yeah.
I just keep listing Ubisoft games because I read an article that were like Ubisoft's like, yeah, we're releasing. Well, they didn't say, but it's reported that like they're releasing hella shit on Switch too.
Yeah, I mean, we have Ubi, we have Square. I think Square's going to go
also
hard.
That's one of the ones I didn't get to think about as much before this of like what Square things are going to happen because you're going to get, I think, exclusive shit.
I don't.
Oh.
I mean, think about that. Like Square's entire thing now is, yo, we've been fucking up doing exclusives. Like we got to go multi-plat. That's the strategy going forward.
I guess I'm thinking about that in regards to like the big AAA stuff. But so you don't think if we get something that is, let's say, Octopath sized?
I think that they have learned, even with things like Octopath that started Switch exclusive, eventually they go to other platforms and they sell really well. So it's like, why jump around that? You know what I mean? I think the only chance of something being, not only chance, the most likely chance of exclusive on Switch 2 from Square would be if it was a remake of Chrono Trigger or no, but even then, go multi-plat.
Yeah.
Like Final Fantasy 6, go multi-plat.
Okay. Well, let's move on from December into the new year. It is month 8. It is January. Again, like I mentioned, all right, they're gonna do remasters. They're gonna fill in some months because you got to pace yourself out as Nintendo. And so in January, it's finally happening. You're getting the Punch-Out game for the Wii remastered.
I mean, I would not be mad at all. That was an amazing game.
It's one that like I think amazing. You hear about it. I actually haven't played it. I've always wanted to, right?
Yeah.
But like I hear about it all the time, and it's one that I'm like, yeah, like bring that back. Like give it to the people that didn't get to play it on the Wii.
Yeah.
And like I think
it works with the Joy-Cons. Like
a January remaster would probably fit it so well as far as trying to bring it back forward. Yeah, make it work with the Joy-Con as well.
I can see it. I do feel like we're gonna start getting like because I brought this up during the Switch 2 reveal conversation, but like we're at an interesting place where the Switch 1 was able to ride and fill out its library so much with Wii U ports, right? Or remasters or enhancements or whatever. We're at a point now that we're out of those.
Yep.
And I think that the replacement for that is going to be third parties this go around, which is good for Nintendo and for gamers as well. But I'm interested in like what's the next round of remasters because Nintendo has such a legacy and a deep library of titles that it can go back to. So we often see the previous generations kind of like coming up in different forms of remaster. Like think back to when the PS3 went through that phase of like coming out with the trilogy packs of like every set of PS2 games remastered. You know, there's the Ratchets and the Jaxes and the Prince of Persia and like
Shadow
all of that
Colossus
stuff.
And Eco.
All of those, right? What's that going to be for the Switch 2? Is it going to be 3DS games? Like or is it going to be? Are we going to continue to see GameCube games, the Wii era, things like that? Like I don't know. It's an interesting time period.
And you had to tap into something different, right? Because like I don't think, and I'm curious on what you think, right? I don't expect to see GameCube like Nintendo Switch Online. You can play the GameCube library sort of thing, right? I think that might be the era that and some of those Wii games that you tap into as far as remastering and bringing forward. But you're right, as far as at a certain point you run out, and then I think you then move on to doing like more of the maybe Switch game collections, depending on how you handle the transition.
The up-resing stuff.
Yeah,
man, it's so. Until we know that piece of the puzzle, it's hard to really have accurate predictions because like what is Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom going to look like? Like, is that a new SKU that we need to buy or like what? Is it a collection? Is it separate? Like there's so many like just questions we have there. In terms of what you said about seeing GameCube on NSO, I am so torn because on one hand, I'm like, hell no, they'll never do that. There's so many GameCube games they can from the ground up remake or just slightly remaster and just put out and call it a day. Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, amazing example of take a great GameCube game, make it visually better, still holds up, right?
Yep.
There's dozens of those games. Those games that they can do from the GameCube era for sure. But I also think that as hard as it is to hear this, as we get older, what's retro becomes more and more recent in our minds. At a certain point, if we're not already there, the GameCube is straight up a dinosaur.
Yeah.
And so the value of those games, quote unquote, I do think gets to the point of like, oh yeah, it's on NSO. And they're going to drip feed it. But I also don't think that stops them from putting out remakes and re-releases in different ways.
Yeah, because I was going to say, like, okay, when we're thinking about the GameCube library, what are the games left that you can remaster?
I mean, there's a lot, right? Like,
Well,
you get as niche as Eternal Darkness, but then you can also get into
but like, what are the big ones for Nintendo? Where it's like, before we put out a Nintendo Switch Online GameCube thing, we need to remaster this to make sure we get the money out. Because like Metroid Prime and Paper Mario Thousand Year and Wind Waker feel like
those are the three of the big ones.
Yeah.
The number one best-selling GameCube game of all time, Super Smash Brothers Melee. And Melee has so much special juice to it that like I do think at some point we're gonna get a Melee, I don't know, remake might be far, but like remaster. Like I think we'll get the bones of Melee, but it's going to look better and be modern and be sold for a premium price.
Which, if you handle that well, could be cool.
Yeah.
The thing that I worry about is like, because Melee means a lot to the competitive community. Nintendo doesn't really give a fuck about the competitive community. If you are Nintendo and you're gonna either remaster or remake Melee, do you end up doing too much to it? Do you change the physics of it? Do you make it play like Smash Ultimate? Like,
no,
do you change the core of what it is?
I think that if they're going to do it, the point would be to like
maintain.
I think it would be more like widescreen. You know what I mean? And just like resolution and stuff like that, which would be freaking cool. Other GameCube games, I mean, we start getting into like the more niche weird stuff, but like F-Zero GX, beloved game. That would be amazing. I don't think it's going to be the biggest seller in the world, but again, we're starting to get to the point where I'm like, I can see this on NSO. Like I can see them doing it. There's Wave Race, there's Kirby's Air Ride, Star Fox Assault, Star Fox Adventures. Star Fox Adventures, I think, actually would be ripe for a
remake.
For a remake, like remake's a big term, but just like a remaster to some extent, like a Metroid Prime style remaster.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of games, but again, I think a lot of them as well, because we already have some of the heaviest hitters with Wind Waker and Thousand Year Door and things like that we already mentioned. We've ticked off a lot of things. I think Melee is one of the biggest ones that I do think is still going to happen. There's Fire Emblem, Path of Radiance, my favorite Fire Emblem. My favorite Fire Emblem. But yeah.
Well, speaking of GameCube, right? So for month 8 in January, I had Punch Out Wii Remaster, but also Resident Evil 4 Remake.
Okay.
I know, and that's another one that I think could come out whenever.
Slam dunk. It's going to be on the Switch too at some point.
Yeah, like I only put it in, like I originally had it maybe in spring of next year, but I moved it up because Resident Evil 9 I could also see in spring of next year, and you don't want to release those on top of each other. Maybe this is fall, maybe Resident Evil 9 is fall. Like I have no idea.
Yeah.
But however that falls, I think you're going to get a Resident Evil 4 remake on Switch too. Moving on to month 9, February. Pokemon. You're getting a spin-off game. Don't get too excited for it though. All right, it's not gonna be one of them ones. You're gonna get maybe like a mystery dungeon, something along those lines. That tier of Pokemon spin-off. I love that. As soon as I said that, Tim started Googling. I'm very excited to see what you're looking up here.
Pokemon's 30th anniversary is 2026.
I like that.
Gen 10 of Pokemon is next up.
I think that comes out next year for sure. But I also think that's later in the year.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it would have to
But then I do think that is a good point though of all right, Gen 10 next year, let's say it comes out in fall. If you are to release a Pokemon thing in the spring for the 30th anniversary, what would that be?
Or do you just keep it simple, stupid? NSO.
Oh, you think that could be cool.
It's time to celebrate
finally
30 years of Pokemon. You can finally play legally Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green and all of them on the Nintendo Switch Online system.
I like that. But yeah, I think you get a Pokemon thing. February also, because Pokemon Presents usually is every February.
It is, always, yeah.
So I think maybe there's something you launch day and date. Could be a smaller thing. Again, could be a, maybe not a mystery dungeon, but I guess that could happen. Like what you're saying, all of the old Pokemon Classic games are on Game Boy and Game Boy Advanced. Boom, available now on NSO. That's out today, and then maybe like a month or two later, maybe you do like a party pack of like Pokemon stadiums and Puzzle League and like a bunch of old Pokemon games that pinball, a bunch of old ones that people love, package it into one thing and like sell it.
I mean, I would love. I'm such a fucking shill for saying this, but I don't give a fuck. I would love if they actually put out you have to buy it physical game that was a collection of every Pokemon game up until I don't know, whatever they're comfortable giving us, but like even let's just say, even if it was just the Game Boy Advance era, I'd hope it would also then get into DS, so like get us through Gen 5, like Gens 1 through 5, and get it all in one collection. Which like but you got to give it love.
Are you talking about mainline?
Yes.
Ooh, okay.
And like I want them to give this collection love. Treat it like it's a special important thing. It's the 30th anniversary. The Ninja Turtle Cowabunga collection that came out last year, 2 years ago. The Rare Replay, like just a collection that there's like so much love being put into the presentation of it all. Like that's what I want. Sonic Origins, which had a lot of issues, but overall, it's like, oh, y'all cared about this. I want that for Pokemon.
I'd want that also. I almost feel like that would be almost too much for them.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's such a dream idea that I'm like, I don't know if they'll actually give that to us.
Yeah, but it's like I feel like they flirted with it enough. I never thought we would ever see the Game Boy games come back in any way, shape, or form. And so when they put them on Virtual Console and the 3DS, that shocked me. And the fact that they even let you like trade between the Virtual Console versions and like battle and stuff like that, I was like, what the fuck? So I feel like at some point they're gonna change their ways. They might still make us pay for it, you know, an insane price for what will undoubtedly just be ROMs on a cart, you know?
Yeah.
But if there's a way for you to like actually play through and like transfer the Pokemon between the games and all that stuff,
so
like
good.
With the
I would pay the money
systems
for that
as well, like that would be freaking awesome.
And then also for month 9, aka February, this is to the indie reclamation, Earthblade. Earthblade comes out.
Man, you have a banger year plan for indies.
Oh, yeah.
You're very hopeful.
Oh, yeah. I mean, honestly, Earthblade might be the one pushing it. But for the other ones, like, you know, Toby Fox said Deltarune is coming this year.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the next the next 2 chapters of Deltarune are coming this year. So he did say that. Hollow Knight Silk Song. I mean, come on, man. Give it to me, please.
Okay.
Give it to me. And then, like, Hades 2, like, that feels right. I don't know.
Yeah, Hades 2, I think that's the easiest
I
one.
do think the next 12, if not the next 18 months, are going to be a banger 18 months for indies. I think all these games are coming out in the next 18 months.
That's awesome.
We then move on to March. In March, you're going to get new Super Mario Brothers WiiMaster, the Wii game, but it's remastered.
Thank you for that. Thank you. Hey, I love it, right? I feel my only hesitation with some of your pulls here when it comes to the remasters is I think that Nintendo's going to have a good enough lineup between their first party and third party stuff in its first year that I don't know that we're so quickly going to need to jump into filling in the gaps with things like that. But I think it's a good pull that new Super Mario Brothers Wii will get repackaged and sold somehow.
And I'm also thinking in the sense of like some of these months, when I get to like December, January, for example, it's like you're not gonna release anything major, but like a January would be like the prime spot for, I think, if you want to remaster or have like a smaller thing to put out. March does get great games a lot of the time. But then when I look at my April, May here, right? Like April, then I have 2D Zelda Maker, which is a dream. Like that is one of those dream ones, right? But like I think this comes back to the mouse functionality of I think that would work so well for it. And I think that then tees you up later in the year for a major Zelda game. If you want to do an Ocarina of Time remake, bounce off of that.
Or that is the Zelda game that year.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I do think that the Maker franchise, we have not seen the end of it. I don't know what the Mario version would look like though. Like, I don't know what they're going to do if it's
new Mario Maker.
Yeah, Mario, because with the mouse support and all that, I feel like they're going to want to continue Mario Maker, but I don't know that
you add the Wonder Art style.
Yeah, I guess they could do that. That would be enough for them to call it a Mario Maker 3.
Maybe that, and then like I don't know. Maybe there's something that comes out in the next year that then feeds into it as well. Like even if you want to figure out a way to do the next 3D Mario style in a Mario Maker, like they've done weird shit like that. I forget what the one I'm thinking of is in Mario Maker 2. That's like, do they have a
those are the 3D world looking
type thing? Yeah. So that's April, and then my final month 12 is May. Xenoblade Chronicles 4. It's happening, baby. I don't know if it's too soon. I've not followed followed Monolith Soft that closely.
Monolith Soft is working on a new big RPG for the Switch too. So yeah, I don't know about timing on that, but it will happen, and I don't know if it'll be Xenoblade Chronicles 4 because I'm not familiar with the story. Frolicious2595 says, give us a Kirby in the Forgotten Land 2. I have not thought about that, but that team's got to be working on something.
Oh, yeah.
And earlier when you said we're going to get a Kirby or a Yoshi, like, you're not talking about a Forgotten Land.
No,
you're talking about
I'm talking about 2D Kirby.
Yeah. Huh.
But that's for sure going to happen.
I know. I can feel it in my core.
Yeah.
That the team that made that game, they're working on another banger.
They're cooking.
They're cooking I don't know if
now.
it's gonna be Forgotten Land 2. I would love that. But yeah, I think that they're gonna. I think their next game is gonna be
another 3D Kirby platformer. I think is a slam dunk.
Yeah.
I think for sure has to happen.
Kirby in the Forgotten Galaxy, says Slip Crit.
Oh, that'd be so fucking sick.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, those are my 12 months.
I love that.
Thank you.
That was great. A lot of fun. A lot of solid predictions. Yeah. I don't think all of them are going to happen, but I do think that you're onto something.
Yeah.
You're on the right track.
I definitely try to mix up the layups with some half court threes in there.
Yeah.
And so but it all comes from a sense of you got to do something with these things. Nintendo Switch Online, them doing a Game Pass style thing, I think is for sure a little far fetched, but they got to do something with it. There's no way Nintendo Switch Online just stays what it is. Maybe it does. But
I mean, you say
they gotta switch up.
And I don't want to go too long on this point here, but I've said since day one, Nintendo Switch Online is actually a great deal, and that's only gotten more and more true because they've just only added more and more games. And we're at the point now that we are running out of things that we're like, but where is this? But where is that? And I know Donkey Kong 64 is one example, but that is literally one of the biggest examples. Yeah. And if that's where we're at,
but I think you still need to continue. You got to continue giving people things like those incentives. You got to find new ones.
I mean, I think that how they've been handling the expansion passes for games, right? Like the Mario Kart, like the boosters that we got, that's dream stuff for getting more from games. And I think that Nintendo's learned a lot this generation about different experiments on. They've clearly done different experiments on how DLC can work for their games, and I don't think that they've fully mastered it yet. And I think that going into Switch 2, they're going to have their heads wrapped around it a bit more. Because you look at how they did it for Zelda, Breath of the Wild, compared to Mario Kart, compared to Mario Odyssey, which is a fucking travesty. Hey, here's Luigi with some balloons. What the fuck you talking about?
I forgot that happened.
I'll never forget that happened. I'll never forget. I want to get to some super chats here before we exit the show. And then remember, tomorrow we're going to do the flip of this where I give Blessing my predictions.
Dude, I really can't wait for yours.
I'm excited. I got some good. I mean, I don't think I have anything. Look, I've been talking about Switch 2 for a long time.
Yeah.
Mainly to you.
Yeah.
So I don't think you're going to hear much that I haven't said before.
That's the tough thing about making this is there is so hard to think of original ideas now.
Yeah.
Where we've talked about this so much. We've seen other content creators talk about it. And it's with Nintendo, there's only so far you can go with trying to figure out all right, they're going to make a new Donkey Kong. They're going to put out a new Mario. They're going to make a Mario Maker. I'm excited for the shit that we don't know. The new ideas, the new IP, what spin-offs of franchises we know are going to happen. Because that shit is always unpredictable. There's no way to nail them of course you're going to make this thing.
I do have the details though are things that I haven't said before.
Oh, I'm excited about that.
Very excited for a bunch of them, but that's tomorrow. That's not today. Joe Forelli says, by adding a built-in mouse, it opens the door for third-party mouse support. Razer, Logitech about to go nuts. That's true.
Ooh.
That could be if they do support that and allow that, that could be awesome.
Yeah, I wonder how far that goes. Because then would you also do keyboard support? Maybe not.
No, because we're finally at the Tim Geddes dream. Nintendo's given me everything I've ever asked for. It's happening. I'm not going to be the only sicko. This is the conversion point, everybody. Welcome to my world.
See, I then also wonder, when you talk about third-party mouse support, is it going to be the thing of but you can't use your regular mouses?
Of course.
Logitech has to make the Switch mouse.
Yeah.
It has to be that.
I mean, but then, give it a month or two, and Genki or 8-Bit will come up with some solution that'll mostly work.
Yeah.
Kebab says Splatoon 4 sickos swear by Joy-Con mouse controls. Yeah. I mean, Splatoon 4, we haven't even talked about that.
I had that written down and I deleted it.
Yeah.
But that's going to happen. And yeah, that's going to probably be great with the mouse. Hopefully.
Matt Hargott says, I predict a camera add-on for the top USB-C port, bringing Pokemon Go and similar revenue to their own digital storefront. I think this also means living room AR, given NVIDIA T239 computer vision. Interesting. I mean, Nintendo always gets weird. Like, think about for all of us that are like, oh man, I miss weird Nintendo. We got Labo.
Oh, that was another thing I was thinking about. Yeah, when talking about like third-party mouse support of like, where can you take? I feel like there's Labo adjacent type shit that can happen with that kind of support. That like, again, I can't put myself in the minds of of the wizards over there, but they got to be thinking of something sick for that stuff.
Dude Sixlet says, do they add GameCube or DS to the NSO offerings or keep adding to the existing libraries and remastering GameCube games? We have to get there soon, man. I think that like I don't think that them remastering games is going to stop them from putting the games on NSO.
I mean, talking with you here has shifted my opinion a bit of, like you've done a lot of the major GameCube games already, and like the rest of the GameCube library could maybe fit well on NSO. Like
we didn't even mention Pikmin, which has already been remastered.
The first Pikmin, yeah.
The second one, all of the Pikmin.
Damn,
we have all the fucking Pikmin.
Yeah. So I think at this point, like maybe it does come to NSO.
And I'm even thinking like to N64 and stuff. It's like Ocarina of Time is available on NSO, but like that didn't stop them from putting it out on 3DS, right? And like timing on that's a little bit weird, but like.
Yeah, because that came out on 3DS like a lot of years earlier.
Yeah, but still, like even like with Virtual Console or whatever they were doing back then, it's like you could buy the game for $5 or you could buy it for $40 or $50, whatever it was, and they still allowed you to do that because they know that we will.
And it's also not stopping us from asking for a new Ocarina.
Yes, exactly.
Like an Ocarina remake.
Demon Hacker says, will current gen sports games be on Switch too? Things like WWE? I think so.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, what? They still make FIFA for Switch, even though it's the same thing every single year, and Simon Cardy always gives it the same score and review. But I would hope that Switch 2 would mean that maybe you're getting more updated and like more comparable versions of those games to what we get on current gen. Fingers crossed. I know it's like one of those wishes that's gonna be like, nope, it's still trash. It's still not as good. But I hope, WWE 2K25 or 26, whenever we get there, that'd be sick. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'm expecting the Switch 2 to have, maybe not right away, but I think within a year, it'll be on track with third-party games coming out alongside the other systems. And I don't think that I know for a fact it won't be the best place to play them.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's going to be as much of a trash fire as Mortal Kombat on Switch.
I hope so.
Yeah. It'll be somewhere in between. Let's just hope it's on the good side. Not
like if I can buy a Switch version and be like, no, it's going to play well. You know, might not look as good, but I know it's going to actually function. Then we're going to be living in a dream, and then like the good version of the world. Although I feel like by the time we get to the second half of the Switch life cycle, like when the PlayStation 6 and the Xbox, whatever you call it, come out, I think we then get back to the place of like, this shit's going to be rough.
Yeah.
So,
but guess who's still going to be putting out banger games? Nintendo.
Exactly.
Zeke Speak says, Switch was my OG indie machine. Once I got a Steam Deck and found that all my favorite games looked and played better for me, the only change is if Switch 2 got decent hardware. Otherwise, it's first-party games only for me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, Switch indie games sell incredibly well on Switch. Still.
Yep.
So, options. It's good.
Listen, the indie reclamation is happening.
I like it. Right? I like that you're branding
Switch is the #1 place where the indie game is going to be played. You know, you're going to want to take it there first. You're going to get so many copies sold.
Yeah.
At least in the first couple years.
Captain Coots, great name. As someone who beat Mario Odyssey for the first time this morning during Games Daily, I want Mario Odyssey 2, basically.
Same.
Yeah. I love that you're not asking for much, but you're also asking for the most.
Yeah.
Right?
Because, like, neither of us think it's going to be Mario Odyssey 2. I don't think it's going to be Mario Odyssey 2.
I don't either, but I honestly wouldn't be mad if it was.
Oh, dude, I'd be so happy if it was. I would be so fucking happy if it was Mario Odyssey 2.
Yeah, I mean, I actually think strategically that'd be very smart for them to do, especially on the Switch too.
Yeah.
Right? Mario Odyssey sold incredibly well, clearly reviewed incredibly well, and I think that there's so much more that they could do.
Think of the kingdoms, Tim.
I know.
Think of like Hyrule Kingdom. Think about Donkey Kong Kingdom. I don't know what they call it over there.
They call it, well, there's the Donkey Kong
Kongdom.
Country, but there's also the DK Isle. You say Congo?
I said Kongdom.
With a
He's cooking.
I like it.
He's cooking.
Kongdom.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I remember playing through Odyssey and in the initial playthrough, like before before it was hands of everybody, and like we knew all the secrets and stuff, and like we get to the final area in that game. I remember when you like are pulling up the map and stuff, like you see Delfino Island from Mario Sunshine and stuff like that. It was just like
breaks my heart. We never got there.
So yeah, maybe I'm starting to sell myself.
Stop hoping. No, we're not doing this again. We're not doing this again. I watched so many theory videos.
Yoshi Dad 11 says, "What about the announcement of GTA 6 coming to the Switch 2, but only playable via cloud streaming and exclusive to Japan?"
Exclusive to Japan? You think a GTA is exclusive to Japan?
Yeah, the cloud streaming stuff. I'm interested if that's going to continue on the Switch 2.
I guess a lot of the cloud streaming stuff was exclusive to Japan, so I guess that's where you're pulling that from.
Yeah. I don't know,
but I could see it.
I don't know about GTA 6 coming to Switch 2, but I'm sure they'd want it to. But I don't know.
You think Nintendo would want it to, or Rockstar would
want it to? Nintendo would want it to. I'm sure both would want it to for sales, but yeah, there's something about that I don't feel like that one's gonna happen. At least not right away. Chris Rock 90 says, "Will Street Fighter 6 and Tekken on Switch 2 give a boom to the fighting game community?" No.
Yeah, I think that would be good, but I don't think that would like shift the landscape. I think the fighting game community, when it comes to tournaments, when it comes to that stuff, like it's still going to be primarily you're playing on console or PC.
Yeah,
but it'd be neat. I would love to play Tekken 8 on Switch.
Garrett says Sonic Mega Collection 2, with all the renewed hype for Sonic and Co. Why not bring it back new and improved? Getting some type of collection of the 3D Sonic games, I think, is inevitable. I just don't know what format and when. And I also think that they're going to take their time if they have the opportunity. I think they're going to, my prediction is it's Sonic Heroes being remastered or remade or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's going to be testing the water for, is there an appetite for this? Or are there just a lot of very loud people?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah,
wholeheartedly.
Then the last one, we got Rogue Force saying, "Do you think there'll be a native voice chat?" I'm not expecting a major anytime soon. Like, I don't think at launch of Switch 2 we're gonna get like a totally revamped NSO that like.
Yeah, maybe that's one of those things that you get a bit later into. But like, isn't there already? Didn't they finally add the native voice chat some years ago?
I have no idea, man.
But it's the thing where Nintendo just, I don't know, they just don't have a handle on that kind of stuff. Because I remember it being you had to download the Nintendo app on your phone and then voice chat through that. But then I think like I want to say it was like Fortnite or something. Like around that time, you could just like talk into a microphone and then like it work. My my wish would be for a party system. Let me start a party with friends, hop in there, voice chat, do all that stuff. The reality of it is like, one, Nintendo doesn't have like a good hold of that, but then also, I don't think they need it. Like they got through a whole Switch generation without having that stuff, and I think they can get through another one, and like people just accept that, hey, this is Nintendo.
I do think that they're going to take online more seriously than they ever have, which isn't hard. But I think that they have to if they're going to be bringing third-party games as heavily this gen as I expect them to. But on top of that, I said this during the reveal thing, but this is their first Mario Kart built from the ground up with online really in mind, like modern online in mind. Because Mario Kart 8, like it had it, but it was just like that was 2013 logic. I think that this new Mario Kart it needs to have a lot more focus on it, because I think the pandemic even proved like the numbers spiked of people playing Mario Kart online, and it worked. It's not the best thing, but it did work. And I think that for the next Mario Kart, it needs to do more than just work. I think it needs to be like a killer feature of the game.
Yeah, I think for sure. Like we can't do communication errors. We can't do like, like have it being unreliable. I think they'll nail that stuff though. Like I think the online, and this is gonna come back to bite me in the ass. There's no way the online for Nintendo Switch 2 for Mario Kart is gonna be broken. Like there's no way it can be, because I do think Bear's laughing in the background. You got 24 players, like it's a new one, like it is such a big feature. Online is different now than it was in 2013 whenever Mario Kart 8 original came out. It's a different time. You got to figure that shit out. I don't think voice chat though.
And remember, a couple months ago, Nintendo did that big network test.
Yeah,
they're doing something with online.
I had that in mind too, of like that whatever MMO weird shit they're working on coming out in a full version. But I think from the vibe, it seemed like that was a further thing away. That seemed like a like, maybe a game that's a few years if it's an MMO or whatever. But you're right as far as like the online, what you're doing with online infrastructure, like they're testing shit and they got to figure that shit out.
Yeah.
But I still think, at least from a game like Mario Kart, man, Nintendo doesn't want you talking to strangers. They don't want you talking to a Mario and the Mario saying strange things, and all of a sudden the mom's like, "Oh, what's that? Like, why is this Mario saying weird things on the internet? Nintendo, why? I trusted you." Like, no, they don't want that shit.
Trusted you.
They're scared.
Oh,
Get on
man.
Discord if you want that shit. Maybe Discord comes to Switch. That'd be sick.
I think that to me that's an example of like, and I hope that it happens very soon.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that that's part of the rollout. Like that to me is Nintendo taking it seriously. Like you need to play with the rest of the big boys how they play, right? So the answer's already there. Don't fuck this up, Nintendo. Please.
Don't mess this up.
Please.
Mario, why? Why you say that, Mario? To my son.
I thought you were singing that song, the TikTok song.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about. Yeah.
Let us know in the comments below what your predictions are for the Nintendo Switch 2's first year. Tomorrow, we're going to do the flip of this, where I tell Blessing my thoughts on year one of the Nintendo Switch 2. Until next time, though, strap in for an insane stream where the boys are going to see how far they can Waymo. There's no way this ends well.
No, man. They're going to get
But it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. Check it out. If you're on Twitch, stay right where you are. If you're on YouTube, you need to jump over to the other video. But until next time, love y'all. Goodbye.